How's it going, everyone? I hope you enjoyed my cold steel class setup recommendation yesterday. So I'd usually post the best game that I managed to capture for those particular class setup guides as a gameplay commentary. But as you can imagine, the cold steel class, it was just a fun class, just running around with the throwing knife and the tactical knife. So I didn't get any good games at all. You could just imagine get a kill, die 5 times, then maybe get another kill and then die another 10 times. So definitely not worth watching. So what I thought I'd do is create a little throwing knife tutorial, because I know a lot of people have put in the comments on my previous videos about how much they enjoy seeing my throwing knives, and a few people have asked if they can see a tutorial. So what I thought I'd do is use the leftover clips that I'd managed to capture from that little session of gameplay from the cold steel class, and use them to do a bit of a throwing knife tutorial. So if you want to use the throwing knife in Modern Warfare 3, you better be a good mathematician, because this is the formula you need. This is the formula to calculate the trajectory of a projectile. So this is what you've got to work out in your head before actually throwing the thing. No, but honestly, it's just more luck than judgment in most cases. If you want some sort of formula to go by, it probably fits into the 80-20 rule, where it's 80% luck and 20% skill. Obviously, when you see montages of throwing knives, like in my guides, it gives the impression that almost every one of them hits. But in reality, you end up throwing out a lot of these things. You only get a small fraction of those throws that actually land on the target and result in cool kills. But the main thing about the throwing knife is it's one of those specialist weapons that's really satisfying to use. So the main tip I can give is just to use it, just equip it in all your classes. And with Modern Warfare 3 in particular, with the grenades not being as powerful, it gives you that extra incentive to run the throwing knife and just to toss it out when you've got those opportunities. It's great to kind of get your revenge on those corner campers and anyone who's not moving in the game. So if you see someone AFK or sitting in a corner, it's a perfect opportunity to get some practice in. So just a little insight into, if you look at my Call of Duty stats, I've got my equipment usage up. The throwing knife, I've got 1,219 of these things thrown, and out of those it's 195 kills with it. So it just goes to show that you basically just need to toss them out, just use them and just throw them around, and you'll get quite a few kills in there over time. So I guess I can give some little tips. I mean, the basic gist of it is hold down the right bumper button, aim, and then let go. that's really all there is to it. But there's a few little tips I can give. So if we look at some examples of some of the clips that I captured, and I can kind of go back through them in super slow-mo and pause and kind of explain what's going off in each clip. So this first one's a good one of a long-range throwing knife kill. See that guy over in the distance, aim and toss the throwing knife out, and then duck down behind this taxi, and luckily managed to get the kill. So if you look at that back in slow motion, you can see I see the guy from the distance, aim the throwing knife, and the main thing to bear in mind is obviously these throwing knives are projectiles, so that they follow the rules of gravity, and that you need to throw them higher than your actual target, and that the knife will fall downwards according to the trajectory of its flight path. I think that's the best scientific explanation I can give. To kind of get a feel for that, you just have to use the things, throw them out as much as possible. It's worth, when you're first starting, it's worth keeping an eye out and watching where the knife lands, rather than doing what I do in this video and duck behind cover straight away. So then you'll be able to gauge whether you've thrown it too high or too low, if it lands too far away or too close. So as you can see, the first thing you do is hold down that right bumper button and aim above your target, obviously using the right thumbstick to do so. And then this particular target was pretty much lined up, but then what I'll do is use the left thumbstick to strafe side to side to make those fine adjustments. That's just a case of letting go and hoping that the thing lands on the target without it moving out of the way. So that's all well and good for stationary targets and long range targets, but here's a couple more that are more close range or examples of moving targets. So we've got another one here. So here's a good example of this guy making a mistake and me obviously calculating it correctly, and that I get the hit and he misses. So as you can see, he throws his knife at where I am on his screen, whereas I'm throwing my knife in front of where his actual character is, because I know he's running in that direction, and being a projectile, the actual throwing knife has got to travel through the air to actually get to him. So as you'll see, this guy throws his knife and it lands to the left of me, obviously where I was when he released that button, whereas I've thrown mine ahead of him so that he actually runs into the knife. So it's basically his own fault that he got killed by it, because I just threw the knife and he actually run into it. Here's another good example of this. It's more of a close quarters engagement, so the actual distance ahead of the bad guy is a lot higher. As you can see, it's quite a fair distance in front of the bad guy that I throw the knife, and same again, I just allow him to just run into it. And finally, this is a good example of kind of predicting where your target's going to be in time for that projectile to actually land on them. So this guy's running up these stairs, so I know he's going to eventually reach the top of the stairway. So what I'll do is I'll line up my shot at the top of the stairs, obviously aiming that little aiming crosshair thing above the target, in that it's going to allow for the knife to drop down in its trajectory and land on his head. So obviously aim at the top of the stairway and just time it perfectly to allow the throwing knife to travel through the air and then get the kill. So basically that's all there is to it. The only tips I can give is mainly just to practice with the thing and just throw it out and use it in all those game modes, and just use it as much as possible, just to get as much practice in as possible. Eventually you'll just get the feel of it, and you'll know exactly how high or how low to aim the crosshair. And like I mentioned, it's all about just aiming with the right thumbstick for the height of the crosshair, and then using the left thumbstick just to strafe side to side to line it up with your target. So I hope this little guide helped out. I don't know if I've gone into enough detail, but that's basically all there is to it. So let me know if this helped. Drop me a thumbs up if so, and stick around for the next guide videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all later.